Hotep, greetings, I'm back. On this episode, I said I was going to do a focus video. I want to speak on the different elements associated with hip hop and how these different elements tie directly into the occult and how the hip hop movement is being propagated as being dead, by a lot of people, and how that's really kind of like a metaphor for, I guess, the transitions that hip hop is making at this particular time. Um, First and foremost, what gives me the authority to speak on this type of topic? Because I know a lot of people are into like credentials and things of that nature, and I'm a researcher, and not only that, I am an initiate in certain orders that tie directly into the occult aspect of the hip hop movement. Now, what orders, are these? And, a lot of people want to ask all these questions, like, so what orders are you talking about? You're saying you're an initiate now, like, are you an Illuminati or something like that? Is that what you're saying? Like, no, you have to understand and go back to some of my videos where I talk about, in some of my articles, when you guys would go on my website, my old website that I used to have, I had articles talking about the different levels or different schools of the Illuminati. You'd have to go back to that information, to kind of get into my logic on what I mean by the different Illuminatis. There's different versions and aspects of Illuminati. So when a person watches this particular video, the first thing they're going to want to know is that are hip hop artists affiliated with the Illuminati or not? Because there's a lot of information out there that kind of alludes to, and some of it is directly accusing different artists of being a part of Illuminati orders and schools and doing certain rituals and things of that nature. And what I want to kind of point out here is that when a person speaks like that, and you hear a person saying that somebody's an Illuminati and this, that, and the third, they're in this and they're in that, they're probably speaking from the outside looking in. And when I say the outside looking in, like they may be, this high level free and accepted Mason or what may have you, or a high level Mason or something like that, making these videos, not this video, but making these videos about certain artists being in the Illuminati and things of that nature. But a lot of the high level initiates in Masonry and things of that nature, even those that are 36 degrees even, don't realize is that in hip hop, we have our own order. We have our own separate order. It has similarities. All occult orders have similarities. So you can kind of if you start looking at the order, those people that are initiated into being able to see, they may start looking at different moves that hip hop artists make and then make the assumption that, that dude's a Mason, or that dude's an Illuminati, or that dude's, in this order or that order, or Golden Dawn, or this order or that order. But what they don't realize is that when you get into these orders and things of this nature, there's always going to be similarities. There's always going to be, like, in this order, certain rituals that they do, certain moves that they make may remind you of certain moves and rituals in these orders. So that's how people get confused, or certain handshakes, or whatever the case may be. That's how they start to get confused. And what you have to remember is that all orders, mostly all of the occult orders, go back to different regions or aspects of the world, mostly, namely being, a lot of it comes from Kemet or Egypt, or what some people would call Tamaray, especially Masonry. Especially Masonry, and even those people that are into the order of the Kabbalah, like all of that stuff goes back to Kemet. In Kemet, they study their Kabbalah, they build their tree with 13 levels or 13 branches on their tree, versus in Judaism, or in some people call Hebrewism, their Kabbalah, it only deals with 11 branches, for the most part, 12, some people may say. But they get all of that from, that's a whole nother topic, a whole other story that I don't want to go too deep into here, because I just want to kind of focus on the elements, and I don't want to make this too long of a video. But all these orders connect at the end of the day. Let's just say that for right now, so I don't be long-winded, and I'll go into more in depth, for those people that may want me to, exactly how all orders are connected. That's not what this video is on. But I do have to point out that artists that you may see and things of that nature, if they're in hip hop, they're most likely a part of a secret certain type of order. And this order has similarities to masonry and things of that nature, but it is not masonry. Now, when you talk about the Illuminati, there's different aspects of the Illuminati. The Illuminati just means an enlightened one. So if you're saying someone's in the Illuminati, you're saying that they are enlightened, or this person, you know, may to you, you'll say they worship the devil even. You'll say, well, this person, he worships the devil, or she worships the devil because she's an Illuminati and things of that nature. And what you have to remember is that it's so many levels, so many ways I can go, or so many paths I can go down with this Illuminati thing. But when you talk about the devil, I mean, you have like Luciferians, and then you have like devil worshippers, people that are like in the Church of Satan and things like that. These are like devil worshippers, and when you talk about the devil, it's different degrees to understanding the so-called devil. The devil has a history, and you have to go back to my other videos to kind of go more to my logic on how I feel about those things, because I don't want you to just watch this one and then start to think like, oh, you're a devil worshiper, is that what you're saying? Like, no, I believe that the history of the devil, or the history of Lucifer, kind of goes back into man becoming awakened and enlightened on this planet, due to the fact that I believe that the whole God concept of God and the devil goes back to the Sumerian tablets and the Sumerian mystery system, which deals with two characters who are Enlil and Enki. And Enlil was supposed to represent God, or the God force, or the ruling class, or the order of structure and rulership. And Enki represented those people that were sovereign or free thinkers and enlightened people. So when you start talking about people being in the Illuminati, these are generally people that would be considered enlightened people to you. These people that are so-called Illuminati worshippers, these are people that are rebellious to you. These are people that you may consider going against the status quo. These are people that you like, man, like this dude, they do what they want to do, or they're in society, they're often stoned. These are people that they consider an Illuminati. Why? Because the church can't control them, or the religious class can't control them, so they consider these people an Illuminati. So artists and rappers, like talking about hip hop right now, are in a separate order. Like, it's not masonry. It's not. They may be involved in masonry. They may be in more than one school, but there is a specific order that deals in hip hop, and there's a specific language in hip hop. And I'm not here to tell you the secrets, of course, but I'm here to kind of educate you on certain, I guess you could say, certain links that hip hop has to the occult. And I want to focus on the elements, because they're very important in this day and time. And so in hip hop, it's essentially 4 pillars in hip hop that make up hip hop, but there's actually 5. There's a hidden one, and you can get a book. I don't even know if this book's available anymore, but it's this cat named Black Dot. I've talked about Black Dot before. I think in the video, I can't remember which video I talked about him, but he has this book on hip hop. You can Google the Black Dot. I'm sure something should come up. It's called like the 4 Elements of Hip Hop or something like that. And he goes more in depth in this, and he's definitely in the know. He's definitely in the know when it comes to this type of information. Myself, I've sat with just about anybody you could think of in so-called hip hop or the music industry. I've met a lot of people. A lot of them are family members and friends, and things of that nature. So, I mean, my research, I definitely have my credentials when it comes to being able to talk about this type of topic. So hip hop is composed of 4 elements. The first and most important element would be the DJs. That's what you got to remember. When Afrika Bambaataa and them started the hip hop movement, hip hop was started from parties. Hip hop was started from essentially people partying and having fun. And hip hop was essentially linked into the number 3, because 3 a.m. is when the party starts to digress, and when the party lets out, and that's when everybody like starts to mingle and things of that nature. So that's a whole other story. But hip hop is associated with the number 3. So and that's because of the fact that the DJs have such an instrumental role in hip hop. Now, the DJs in hip hop are represented by the air element. They're very important in the industry now. And you may say hip hop is dead, but hip hop is not really dead. It's just more hidden. When you say hip hop is dead, you're almost saying that hip hop is sovereign. So Nas knew what he was talking about when he said hip hop is dead. That was coded language. Because Nas, from what I remember, is the first person to say hip hop is dead. And he's kind of right, because you don't hear the term hip hop anymore. You hear rappers, and things of that nature, and D-boys, and all of that type of stuff, and that's what you associate music with. But it's still hip hop. It's just that they kind of hid that aspect, and now, because that's what the priests and the high up people wanted for this particular phase that we're going into, because hip hop has moved into politics, has deeply moved into politics. Actually, a lot of people don't even know that, but that's a whole nother video. So hip hop isn't dead; it's just hidden. And the DJs of old, because you think about, well, DJ, that's the guy that scratches and mixes records. They don't even have records no more, so DJs aren't important. You can go get a software and anybody can be a DJ. DJing is it's degrees to DJing. DJing is the guy that deals with the air element. So a DJ is similar to a person that works in the media field, the person that kind of brings all the different news stories together. They work with the air element, and the media deals with the air element. So the DJ is kind of like the person that either makes, like a lot of DJs nowadays make what's called mixtapes, right? They make mixtapes instead of scratching and doing all that. They mix up a bunch of songs together and make it into kind of like an album almost. That's kind of like what the role of the new DJs is to mix up various different aspects of hip hop and make it into a final product. DJs are very important. A lot of your big time producers started off as DJs, and I'm going to talk about producers in a minute, because they're very important in hip hop. So a lot of your executive producers, even a lot of your people that's deep in behind the scenes in hip hop, started off as DJs. So the face of a DJ is important. It's the most important thing, because even back in the day, if you wanted to get a record deal, you had to what? Pay off the DJs. You had to go through the DJs first and foremost. Because if you couldn't go through the DJs, then you wouldn't be known, because the DJs had what was called an inner circle. So the DJs, in a lot of ways, were the masters of ceremony, your DJs. So your DJs are not your man. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Your DJs were your worshipful masters, kind of similar to those people that are familiar with Masonry. These were your DJs. So you had your DJs or whatnot. And then from there, you have what's called masters of ceremonies. Now, DJs, they have to understand kind of like letters and degrees. They have to understand numerology. They have to understand a little bit of astrology even, but more so numerology. And more so symbology is where I'm getting at. DJs have to understand that. That's their mastery. They don't have to master anything else. They got to master. They don't have to master speech. That's where you get into master ceremonies, and that's the power of the spoken word. And this is what the master of ceremony does, or the MC. The MC is the master of the spoken word, the power of the spoken word. And the master of the power of the spoken word deals with the mastery of the fire element. You see, the MC is kind of like the person that, when you do spells and get into spells and things of that nature, I've talked about this all the time. This is the particular cat that kind of like makes the magic happen, bringing all the elements together through the power of the spoken word to make the magic happen. Because magic is not effective. You can know everything about symbols like the DJs do and know all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, if you can't get those spirits to rise, when it comes to like doing certain rituals, because people always ask me, well, how come I did this ritual, this money ritual, and it didn't work, or I did this love ritual and it didn't work. You have to have a mastery over the power of the spoken word in order to get the spirits to rise. Very important, in order to get the certain ethers to rise or to wake up, or certain, even certain demons, people that deal in demons. And you may be like, damn, now you're talking about worshiping demons. Like, that's a whole nother story. Demons, daemons, all of that type of stuff. That's a whole nother story that I can't go into because I don't have the time here. But that's what's important when it comes to the MC. So they represented by the fire element, because if you play with fire, you can get burned. But fire can be a very constructive force when it deals with change. So this is how you change. When you deal with magic, magic is used for what? So that you could shift and change your reality. They say that we have control of our reality. Well, a good magician even knows how to shift his or her karma. That's right, you can shift your karma into a situation or a destination or a destiny that you want to eventually embark upon, which is very important. And I'll go into that in another phase. So that's what learning the mastery of being a master of ceremony is all about. Then you have, in hip hop, which is very important, you have the dancers, which I believe is associated. And remember, this is my belief. You may read the book Black Dot Roll, and he may say different elements are associated with different aspects or different posts is what they are in the hip hop. There's 4 and 5 posts. I say 4 and 5 because there's a hidden one that I'm going to talk about that Black Dot doesn't really cover, but he knows about it. But the 4 or 5 posts that are associated with the 4 or 5 hidden elements. So the fourth one would be dealing with water. So to be a good dancer, you got to move like water. This is why women rule this particular part of hip hop, and it's a very important aspect of hip hop that's actually dominating right now at this particular time because of the fact that there's a lot of music that's geared towards strip clubs and women dancing and things of that nature. And the tantric dance is what women do in the strip club. This goes back to tantra. This is nothing new. This is something that was done in the black pyramids in Egypt, where they would hide it, and the women would do exotic dancing and things of that nature, which was a form of going into sex rituals and magic even. So this is nothing new. There's nothing wrong with stripping, but at the same time, they have spirits associated with this stuff. So you get in the script, there's dark spirits that like to come through those particular arenas. So at the same time, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like, can you handle the negative energy or the dark energy that may come? That may come through the portal once the portal's open. Once that music gets to playing and the MC spitting his lyrics and the DJ done mixed up this hot ass beat, and now the woman's dancing and she's channeling this energy from somewhere Orion, and all these spirits coming through Orion, or and she's on a whole other realm or whatever. And it's like, can you deal with the darkness associated with that? I mean, we're talking darkness where like murderers may come through this portal, or all kind of drug users, and this is why all this is associated with the industry, death and all of that. And you're like, well, why would you be a part of something like that? And it's like, there's no good and bad when you deal with the occult. There's only experience. So for some of us, this is our experience. This is, essentially what we have to deal with, and this is what our karma led us to. But for some, it's not for everybody, though. It's not for everybody. Be mindful of that. If you just want to stay normal and stay, like, I guess you could say, accepted and liked, you should stay in the church. For real. Stay working a job. Stay under the control grid. Or if you are different, you better hide it. Because once they find out who you are, the world is going to come down on you. The shapeshifters will have to shut you down because they're in an order that is based on not really exposing the occult. They don't want to tell the truth. See, hip-hop is a tool. It's a warfare tool that was used by the high-up ascended masters, because it was a point in time, according to a prophecy, where the occult had to be revealed in public. And this is what hip-hop is representing. It represents the revealing of hip-hop, or the revealing of the secrets. Very important here. So if you want to be, the type of person that doesn't want to be oppressed, and I'm talking about oppressed, man, hip-hop, people that are involved in hip-hop, men and women, are hated. They hate us. Like, seriously, like, they hate us, and there's a lot of darkness associated with us in this particular field. You may say, us, you just making YouTube videos, but you don't know what I do behind the scenes to bring this video to you, and what I have to do, and all the elements that I got to mix up, because I'm fully initiated into all degrees of all these elements, which makes me very different because of the fact that of who I am. And most of us that are in this industry, like, we know all of this stuff. Like, of course Rick Ross, he can spit them lyrics, but of course Rick Ross knows about DJing and MCing, and he wouldn't be able to be where he was at because it's a level of independence and sovereignty that goes into hip hop, which is very key. Very key. So the dancers and that tantric thing, that's a part of hip hop that deals with water, the mysteries of water, very mysterious element that I can't go too much into here because I'm gonna shut down in a minute because I don't want to make this too long. And then lastly, well, second to last, you have the graffiti. Those people that are masters of holy writ. And you may say graffiti, they don't do graffiti no more. Can't nobody draw. Graffiti, it goes deeper than just drawing. These are writers, actually. This is what they really are. Those people who talk about the graffiti aspect of hip hop, they deal with the earth element. They feel more comfortable touching things and they work with their hands. Even tattoo artists, even. Shout out to one of my homies is a tattoo artist. 7, y'all gotta check him out. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me promoting him here on this video. 7 out of Cincinnati, one of my homies from hometown. Yeah, check him out or whatever. But there's some really hot tattoos, one of the best in the whole country. Actually, everybody knows around the country, but definitely, he's based in Cincinnati. You know, putting on from hometown. So I gotta do that real quick. But yeah, like tattoo artists, you know, like they. You know, like that's a very secret order. I'm sure they have secrets. I'm not deeply initiated. I don't, you know, I'm not into that aspect. But I know they all work together. Hip hop, it links together with music. We know that. You know, so you got the tattoo artists and then the writers, the ghost writers and all that. This is all dealing with the earth element. This is all graffiti, and then those people that actually do graffiti, that still do it. Shout out to those graffiti artists out there. I need to hook up with some of them because I want to interview some of them. Because that's a very lost art. I love people that can draw. I can't draw worth a lick. So I love dealing with people that can draw. It just fascinates me. Like, but that's why I used to like sit in the tattoo shop. Like, wow, you did that with your hands. Like, whoa, like it's dope. But that's a lost art, and getting into writing and things of that nature. Somebody has to write the spell. Somebody has to be able to write the symbols. Somebody has to be able to create new symbols. We have to have a channeler that's connected with those forces to be able to bring these symbols and sigils to you. Sigils are very important in the occult because this is what attracts the spirit. So it's very important. It's not something you can count out. I'm not going to just sit here and try to skip over and talk about it really fast because the person that writes the song, the person that, you know, the performer, the master of ceremony, or the dancer, that's one thing. These are performers, the dancers and MCs. But the DJ and the writer have so much in common. The DJ dealing with the air element and the writer dealing with the earth element have so much in common because they're kind of behind the scenes. You may not know them, you may not see them, but they're very important in making a hit song. They what makes hits because the person had to write it. It has to flow. You know, and then lastly, you have this secret part of, or the secret post in hip hop, which is the fifth element. And those people remember that movie called The Fifth Element. That's a whole other story. But the fifth element is ether, and the producers and the executors, the executors, are a part of the fifth element. This is a very prestigious order. These are kind of like the gods. I know a little bit about this order, and I'm learning a lot more, but they are very much behind the scenes. So much so that you may see a person's name and they say that they're the executive producer of this particular album or where may have you. They may just be a front name. See, they can't be known. These are what you call the executive rulers. And executive rulers rule in secret. And they usually have like 4 or 5 guys representing them, acting like them in the front. And they usually hide the real executive all the way in the back. They sit them in the back. Like, shout out to the Game. He made the song called My Flag. He talk about the homie on probation, make him sit up in the back. See, that's secret language. You may be thinking, everything the rappers say is secret language. You may be thinking, oh, this guy's on probation, so he got to sit in the back seat. That's what they're talking about. Yeah, on the front word, but what is probate? See, when you're in probate, this is when they put a estate into what's called probate court. This is when the court or the state takes over a dead name. Remember I said hip-hop is dead. Hip-hop is a series of dead names. I got a video called Dead Names. You should check that out and you'll understand more. Hip-hop is a collection and a collage of dead names. And what happens is that when you make these names hard, or when I say hard, what it means is that when you put these names onto like television and things of that nature, they're now into probate. They're now into court. You see, like when you put them into sports, when they play sports, where do they play sports at? They play sports on a basketball court. Very key. When they box in a ring. You see, this is making the name hard because now you're seeing it on television. So these people use fronts and front names and even front images and people, fakers, really people that are acting like them, or actors, not fakers, but actors. They pay actors off to act like them, and the real person you may not even know. Like you may not even know who the real Russell Simmons is. Or if Russell Simmons does do something, you may not know his real name even. It may not be his birth name. I can't tell you. I know a lot of stuff that I'm not going to tell you, but I'm just not. But who knows? That may not be his real name because of the fact that there's a collage of different names associated with different acts and executives. This is dealing with the ether element, and they have to do this to protect the name because in America we deal in a capitalistic society which prides itself on extorting names. This is how capitalism works. Capitalism is predicated upon extortion. And the reason why you know is because when interest rates go up, commodities go what? Down. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. When the price of the dollar goes up, or when the value of the dollar goes up, then commodities go down. But when the buying power of the dollar goes down, like when I say down, that means the buying power, or the interest in the dollar goes down, that means commodities go up. That means it takes more dollars to get the same thing, essentially. So that's dealing with scales, the scales of Libra. And people that are into finance, this is all stuff that the executive rulers have to know in hip-hop, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. That they have to know about stocks and all kinds of stuff. The executors have to know about those things because when the price of certain commodities go up, certain commodities may go down, or like when gold goes up, oil may go down, and things of that nature, which is very key when you look at this thing that's going on right now. I want to kind of cover in London, where the UK is exiting. They're exiting the European Union, which is very important here. You're looking at the unstable economy because people don't know how the scales are going to shift, you see. With a big economy going sovereign, independent like that, that is going to affect the economy, and that's how you know that economies are based upon extortion. Because in order for them to take their independence back, it's going to cause the world economies to fall because now they're self-containing, they're independent. And they don't like that. So that's when you get into the sovereignty of economics. Very key. So something that I'll cover at another time. But don't get it twisted. All of that stuff is based on extortion and economics, like economies and stuff like that. If you doing good, somebody else is doing bad. And it doesn't have to be like that, but it takes a mental giant or a person that really understands economics to be able to keep those scales balanced to where everything is equal. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to have the same amount of money, but everybody should have equal access to certain resources and certain commodities, and it's really about the prejudice. You see, just because you're rich doesn't mean you got to block people or stop people from making it to where you at. They should be able, a really true rich person is one that makes 10 rich people. You're not rich if you just rich alone, so your daddy gave you some money or some shit like that. That doesn't make you really, you could be rich, but I'm saying that doesn't make you wealthy, is what I'm saying. A wealthy person can make 10 people up under them wealthy. You see, Jay-Z talks about that in the Holy Grail, this particular person. Shout out to Jay-Z, but he talks about how he had to exercise God and being able to make a king. See, anybody can be a king. Everybody want to be the king this and the king that. And I know I've alluded to myself as being the king or whatever. That's just a degree. But really, a god or a person that's executive can make 10 kings up under them. And then those 10 kings are all rich, which makes you wealthy. So you should never, and you would never, it's not even in your interest for people to be poor. If you truly exercise the emperorhood, which is a whole other degree actually, the emperor is even above the king, and the gods even, but that's a whole other thing. But if you exercise these higher titles and these higher powers, ain't gonna be no hating, and then you have the queens, very important, very important. It can't be known because actually what's going on even in a lot of empires are ran by women, especially as we move more into the number 13 principle and the feminine principle. Women are taking over, but these women can't be known. You see, that's what you got to remember. The women that you see on television aren't the women that's running things. They're behind the scenes. You see, so that's a whole other story that I'll get into another time. But that's my brief demonstration on the 4 elements of hip-hop and how they relate to what's going on in the world right now. I hope you learned something from this video. Something sparked me to want to put this information out because I feel it's important, and I want to prove to you guys that hip-hop is not dead. essentially dead the way you think it is. It's transitioned and moved on. Everybody is still intact. Shout out to Love and Hip Hop because they inspired me to make this video. Actually, some stuff that I saw on there. So just want to kind of like give some shout outs and my credits and my language. And I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And be looking out for my next. I don't know when it's gonna be. Like I said, I'm just popping up doing drive-bys. Like, do. Nah, I'm just joking. But I don't know, man. Whenever spirit leads me. Thank you guys again for watching and listening. Until we meet again, I'm gonna leave you in Hotep.